Dun 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 dun. And welcome to Saturday. Gonna be a simple night. Gonna keep working on the Pikami doll. So let's see if we can finish that up tonight. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know what to do. There all the time, but are in my mind. Weird, thought I was lagging. Welcome in though, Solace. Hopefully the evening's running decently well so far on your side. I'm just double checking my audio settings this time, which I finally double checked why the ducking crap wasn't working before, and that's because I did not have my stuff set up properly. But how is your evening going? Dun, 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 dun. Gonna be working on the Pikami doll. So let's see if we can finish that today. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Still behind Solace. I mean, you don't have to worry about that too much. Solace just has kind of a sixth sense at this rate. So whenever a channel actually goes live, he's usually just kind of instantly clicking into it if he needs to. But welcome in, Nano. Hopefully the evening's running well. I'm just getting usual promo stuff out of the way. And then we'll continue on with the Pikami doll and presumably finish that today. Should realistically still get rid of some of these. Two. Then Dewey. And I guess since I'm doing art, technically Kin, right? Alrighty then. Should be good. The pre-roll ad should have already run, so yeah, we should be good. Alrighty, let's see if we can remember where we actually left off. Pretty sure line colors. Alrighty, time for the fun part then. Oot. This one would probably need to stay black anyways, so no harm, no foul there. Nope. Yeah, that'll work better on the front. But hopefully everyone's at least been able to enjoy their weekends so far. I know since we're going to be heading into April, it means the weather's going to go crazy, but nothing super new about that, I feel. Hopefully she can finally debut today. What do you mean, Nano? The main thing with Pikami right now is just that she's kind of in the process of more so graduating than debuting, so it's kind of more so what everyone's just kind of keeping their ear on. Oh, the Pika doll. Yeah, well, hopefully we'll be able to finish this today. We are close enough, so I don't see why we can't. But we just gotta kind of clean things up a bit and make sure that this all functions well. Probably make this a little bit quicker. Then we're gonna have to do our best, I think. Here we go. The one who'll never graduate. I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm pretty sure everyone just kind of has a chance to graduate. It kind of just depends on what's going on in everybody's lives, just to see as to whether or not that they'll have to. Because I know at least in terms of the more recent, bigger groups that would have had graduations, like Sane from Hololive, she kind of had to stop just because her back was not really letting her do streaming to the highest degree. Or at least that's the reasoning that was put out there for her. Not the Pika doll, though. She lives forever. I mean, technically speaking, yeah, as long as you're taking care of your dolls, they could last for pretty much as long as you needed them to. So, I guess it's a good reminder to folks, make sure you're taking care of your dolls. And we don't really got to worry about all the brushing on the other sides for right now. The fade from the hair is a little awkward, so it's best to just kind of do this one first, and then we'll clean up all the other lines and not try to interact with it too hard. Yeah, this will mostly just kind of be us relaxing a bit while we're getting all this done. But with the glory of the Pika doll, at least, it should at least be fun to look at as you're getting small snippets of all the details and all of the weird scratchiness that I just get away with. As well as just the accompanying background ska music. And since I finally got my ducking actually set up properly, I don't actually mind talking over it anymore. There we go. And then hopefully speaking, the line coloring doesn't cause too many problems. The doll does look decent with the black lining, but I don't know, something just feels off with it. May just be a cartoon weird logic that I just don't want to follow. That's alright though. Yep. Okay, don't gotta worry about that. And this actually needs to be darker here. Well, I'll be damned. Okay. Just noticed little dinosaur next to her. Oh, yeah. Apologies on that. That's what we're going to be doing next, just because I wanted to do the Pikami doll itself first, and then we can just keep the dino on the separate layer. Because I wanted to represent the current design in this somehow, but couldn't exactly figure out a way to do that. So, that's where he comes in. Each line has its own color. Oh, that's the plan, at least. Yeah. That should at least hold it. I'm not sure if this is a little too extra. I feel like it would be annoying to follow on like an animation sheet or something like that, but since it's just a static drawing, I'm fine with at least doing it that way. Oops. Leave the hair alone, Jude. Can't stop thinking without you. Oh, right, I need to fix that too. That's just raw color though, isn't it? Can't stop thinking about you. There. Hello there, small error that I didn't fix yet. Ah, right. Dude, fix that real quick. Can't stop thinking about you. There we go. Can't believe I actually forgot about that. Then go back to here. And let's try and keep some of our line colors consistent where we can. Good. Oops. Don't mess with the hair, Jude. Hair is very important. Welcome in, Liz. Hopefully the evening's running well on your side so far. We're just working on coloring lines on the Pikami doll, but how are things on your side so far? Pikami, yeah. Pikami has been a relatively high source of inspiration, at least, when it comes down to it. So I do at least want to get my last little bit of fan art in before she graduates. There we go. So far, so good. I got Domino's Tots, and pizza, and I'm loving good right now. How about me? I'd say things are going relatively alright. I did end up ordering out as well, just because I didn't necessarily want to. I don't like cooking when I do like main cleaning days, so I just kind of order out to not create too much more of a mess than what I had just cleaned up anyways. Dude. So kind of just relaxing a little bit today after getting everything all cleaned up. Um, that should be it for the skin layers, I believe. Yeah, go. Do that just to make life easier. Then here, that'd be too bright. Good. Yeah, we're pretty close to finishing this. I think I just need to do the line colors and then color our little chompy friend. And then we should be okay. Nah, it should be darker. Slightly darker. There we go. That doesn't look out of place. Dude. Out of curiosity, Jude, how do one go about commissioning you for one of these dolls? You know, you're now the second person who actually asked me about this. I don't actually have commissions set up for these, but I guess if people want them, we could technically set something up. I kind of shot out the concept of $50 to $60 for like a fully done one like this, but I can't really guarantee much else in terms of like delivery and time and such. But that's at least what I'm spitballing at the moment, since I'm kind of guessing at this too, to be honest. Yeah, actually, I can just use the same color for the top too. Doot. The color consistency with Pikami's actual original design is very handy because you only have to worry about really 3 color groups with her. Unless you're doing something weird and giving her weird orange tips for shading her hair, but... Doot. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Stalling. Delivery and time's no issue. If I can get into disposal and come hit you up. Alright, sounds good then, Liz. Best ways to usually contact me would either be Discord or Twitter, because I usually don't have enough traffic that I need to worry about that too much. Good. And welcome installing. Hopefully the evening's running decently on your side so far. We're just working on some line coloring right now. But how are things on your side? Uh, Oh, right. This little spot. Forgot about that. Let's see. Just looked at the ref book and they added Regulus Mon. Can't say I know who that is off the top of my head. I guess then as a fun question, is this something where you'd have to worry about in the card game, or? One life, I'm gonna do what I want. She was the best. She was the best at 17. Running down the dream. Lucky and they said, do 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 do, what did it bow? Okay. Oh, Jesus, no. Settle down. We'll go these morbid accessions. But if his thought feels like a confession, she said, she said, she said, but I got one love, I'm gonna do what I want. Get one life, I'm gonna do what I want. It is just the truth. No, I don't remember the words here. Left to lose. What you want in this world? Let go these morbid obsessions. Every thought feels like a confession. She said, she said, she said, one life, I'm gonna do what I want. If I get one life, I'm gonna do what I want. Ska is very nice to sing to, even if the lyrics are a little bit edgy half the time. Let go these morbid obsessions. Every thought feels like a confession. She said, she said, she said, if I get one life, I'm gonna do what I want. If I get one life, I'm gonna do what I want. There we go. Oh, the card's already... Card game already had the Regulusmon card? Okay. In Japan, at least. The booster was delayed in the West just because people got mad about the lack of reprints, so they took extra time to fill it with reprints. Oh, Jesus. You really shouldn't be worried too much about reprints. You're going to get them eventually. Like, the Pokemon card game is just a prime example of that. Ooh, there we go. Breaking down. Not breaking glass, I'm breaking down. I'm breaking down. So much white to line. Okay. I'm breaking down, not breaking glass, I'm breaking down. There we go. No, the Japanese booster is mostly a reprint set, but when they had first announced it for the West, they had taken out all of the reprints. Oof. That's certainly not good. But I guess the fan base would be justifiably upset if they took out every single reprint possible. Have they actually announced when the West will be getting the card? Or I guess since you mentioned that you found it in the flyer, then you're probably good now, right? And should expect it within a few months? There we go. And then here. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 bum. Ba-da-da-bum, dum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. That's not bad. Now with you, might have to do something a wee bit fancy. Scream the name, I won't hear it. Start again. I'll scream the words. You can listen to the message contained. Stop there. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. No, I need the soft one. I need less hardness. Dun 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 dun. Scream the name, I won't hear it. Reset to start again. I'll scream the words. Oh Jesus, there's my crack. Ugh. Reset to start again. I'll scream the words. You can't listen. I don't think I'm an okay. Hmm. A little weird that we don't have anything along here. Listen. Sometimes you I probably should stop humming just so that way it stops ducking on the mic. Let's see here. And in about 6 months, we're expecting it. Ooh, fuck, that was a heavy one. I guess 6 months isn't too bad for a worldwide release. Yeah. Yeah, should be good. Scream my name, I won't hear it. Reset to start again. I'll scream the words, I gotta listen. No. One of these days, I'm actually gonna have to look through the lyrics on most of these, just so that way I can actually remember what we need to listen to. Go to here. Then I guess just go to black. Do. Well, if you ignore that the set was out in Japan in January. That is probably something that folks are going to ignore to some extent, but alright, so I'm forgetting the obvious point. I should realistically just be following the shine that's already on there for it to not look weird. Do, 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 do. Way too big. Good. Just because when it does come to more intentional, like, card game sets anyways, you're not exactly missing out on much by trying to get everything immediately, but it is probably just saying a lot that if people are getting outraged, at least when it comes down to the current set that we're waiting on to come out, then I think that just shows that folks are a wee bit impatient. Like, it's just the card game. We'll get to it, guys. Hmm. You can do it, buddy. Don't need saturation. Yeah, I'm gonna need to make that just brighter in general. Here. Make it big enough to fill this in. Then orange doesn't make sense for this. go. Yeah, considering it's just supposed to be like the thing attached to her shirt, I'm mildly biased in thinking it should be metallic. So I'm trying to take a note out of Kin's book and seeing if I can actually make it be just a little bit shiny. Yeah, that's probably overly polished, but that's fine. Let's see. I'm pretty sure I put this thing on its own layer, right? There it is. There we go. Nice and shiny. But yeah, I figured why not make it gold. It's fairly important piece on her anyways. And I think that's all of the lines done, except for a mistake down here that I need to fix. Hikami's model does just make it mildly easy to just get 3 colors in and you're good, so. Let's see here. Shoes are black. Shorts are black. Shoes are white. Sweater is white with gray lines. The hair's decent, but I think it's too vibrant of an orange. Let's see here. Yeah, that should work. Alrighty. I'd say I'm comfortable with that at the very least. We can add a shadow just kind of sitting underneath it, but there we go. And what's this layer for? I don't know what that layer is actually for. Chill art. Welcome in, Care. Or K, rather. Hopefully the evening's running well on your side so far. Yep, we're just working on some art stuff at the moment. Hopefully going to be finishing this doll tonight at the very least. But how are things on your side? Yeah, eyes are good. Primarily we're just going to be working on him, but there. Oh, whoops. I missed a spot. Sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to completely forget to fill in your tail. Same goes for you too. Hope you get your gold for today done. I'm hoping we do. Don't see why we're gonna miss it, but I've seen stranger things happen before. There, and these two. Alrighty. So we kind of imagine the sun from coming up in the top left rough area. So, realistically speaking, we should try and make sure to actually follow that same rhetoric, shouldn't we? Good start to that song. Oh, and I suppose just in case it does matter to anyone, uh, mature warning on the tunage for tonight. Ska is basically on the same level as punk in terms of it tends to swear a lot and hit on adult topics. There. No. Make the brush a bit smaller. Just do that. So glad the code worked for you. I'm definitely as glad as well. It'll be handy to have a Game Pass situation going, just because there's a lot of games that I don't necessarily want to buy, but I wouldn't mind playing. So the Game Pass will kind of let me skirt around that problem for now. I'll definitely get to it when I get the time for it, though. Because for $16 a month, it looks like $17 a month. It honestly didn't seem like too bad of a deal. Like after the initial code bit works out. But we're gonna kind of have to test that out and see. Oh, way too much. Oh. That's the ultimate too. You don't need ulti. No, no, I probably don't need ultimate because I don't really care about most of the services ultimate has. So I can probably just downgrade that when the time comes, which shouldn't be too bad of a problem, realistically. There, and a little bit here. That's a bit better. Now let's just fix this a bit. Because I need this foot, whoops. I need that foot to be a wee bit darker, but not the entire bit of the tail. There we go. Comfy little friend. There. Have a good night, y'all. Have a good night, stalling. Enjoy your rest. We'll get to talk with you another time, I'm sure. Yeah. Put that in a folder. There. Thankfully, the antenna portion will at least be the easiest. This is just a little guy. There we go. Was wondering for a second, it's like, you're not showing anything, are you? There. And I'm pretty sure that we can at least get a little bit of shade on it. Although it's probably going to be impossible to tell if it even's there. That's fine. I guess this will be kind of like a chalkboard shade drawing anyways. We're going to have to just add light to it to define anything. Which is fine. Good. Alright, I guess next should be orange. Kind of the main thing that sticks out. There. Alright, so how do we want to actually shade the orange? It tells me that I don't... No. Some of these songs I kind of know, but I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, unfortunately. Would be lovely if I could, but that RAM is really not gonna let me. Do get a quick bottom layer on since that's going to be stitched in. There. This would technically have some, if only by the nature of their stuff above it. There. Then you get a little bit of it on your fins. Our little buddy is not necessarily going to be the most detailed, but he does at least need to compare up to Pika. He is just a doll after all, so it'd be a bit odd if he didn't have something on him. Although I don't think I can get away with the same crazy eye shading that we had before. Should make this a bit more intense, shouldn't I? There we go. Silly monster buddy is going to be staring into everyone's souls, and I'm fine with that. Here. Ever so slightly darker. Yeah, that helps out a bit. Dude. Lets the eyes at least pop a bit. Then, I guess just you. And all your tiny little details. Ooh. Here. Much smaller brush. There. Then darker. Good. Okay. And then we just need the red. Now, how would we want to do you? Yep. Make you bigger. Boom, boom. And then slightly smaller brush. Oh, that's on pretty much the same level. There we go. Subtle, but still needed. There. These two don't have to be clips. Yeah, that still works shading-wise compared to Pygmy. Now let's just color in the lines. Which shouldn't be too hard. Okay, yeah, and we were fairly close. Oh well. There are other things that we can work on. Dude. Grab a dark green. Then we just got to keep in mind what should be green and what should be orange. I guess something we could also work on would either be designing the cabinet itself, which I know is something I'd want to do. There's the Nikki doll we could technically do. I know we did a basic sketch of that before, but we could try turning that into a full doll drawing. Lurking for now? Alright, sounds good, Kay. Best of luck with your evening. Let's see here. So could do the Nikki doll, could do the house. Could try working on the Zoya redesign, but it's been a while since we've touched that. Yeah. Get your eyes done. And I suppose that's the biggest alternative. We could just swap over to a game. I guess we're kind of just free to do whatever, realistically. Alright, orange. Probably makes that a bit more intense. Just thankfully, as a small-time streamer, we technically have options for a lot of things. Although we probably should keep it to art, thinking on it. Here. Now I need some specifics. Good. Here. Really? I still missed stuff? Here. There. Oh, whoops. Hello there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave you alone like that. There. And unfortunately, our little dino buddy is not quite going to be a metallic being. I'm sure as nice as that would be for him. Dude, you get to just be a nice little plush friend. There. 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 Probably best to do the red side first. Then we can do all the spikes. Good. Alright, the reason I didn't do Nikki's yet was that I didn't have a full design for them. We may work on the house then, and then I'll ask Nikki the next chance I get as to whether or not she actually has a full character sheet put together. I haven't seen one, but sure she does. Then you... Then you... Hmm. There. There we go. Little buddy gets a little bit of love at least, just so that way they can sit with their little peek-me. That's the only thing that I would want to do. Oh. This. There we go. That makes a bit more sense. Now. Or I guess realistically, I should probably make one of these dolls with myself, shouldn't I? Just so that way I can actually have, like, a character I know I can actually use as an example without having to worry about asking anybody. Oh, Nick, please listen to me. All this time, Jude's just been doing this as practice before he makes his own. A little bit, yeah. We have at least kind of nailed down a style that we want to do for it too, so that kind of helps out a bit. Yeah, I guess this is technically done and ready for posting to Twitter to see if we can actually get Pikami to see that. Let's see here. Pretty sure you're the reference image, aren't you? No, you're the reference image. Then you are the color layer that we didn't do anything with. Yeah, okay. That is just a blank layer that I just left at the bottom visible for some reason. Okay, brain. That's fine. There we go. Get under our little buddy. Too small. There we go. Then I guess just make this part a little bit fuller to match to that. Cool. Not too bad. We're on our way. Here we go. We're gonna take over. Set it off one last time. Here we come again. All systems go. Soon the world will know. The fury of attack. Feel the wrath of the super rat. The super rat. All systems go. Soon the world will know. Fury of attack. Feel the wrath of the super rats. Right, that was the quick zone. Here. See if I can actually remember my own Twitter handle properly. There we go. Oh. Now, do I have an actual, like, spray painting thing? No. Need particle size to go down a good bit. Maybe not that much. Just so we can give this a frosted look. It is simple, but it works. Um, there, file, save as. Oh, sorry, not save as. Export. do. Now the good question, what's the color of Twitter dark mode? Because PNGs don't end very well on there. Do. I guess it is just primarily black, isn't it? Um, yeah, that's just pure black. Okay. Thank you, Twitter dark mode. You're making it easier for me to see at the very least. Who never told me why you... Now, the better question, where exactly did that paste to? There it is. Although, realistically, if we do something like... we would need something that would actually let it to be visible on Twitter without just being completely out there. You never told me. You never told me. Oh, whoops. Wrong brush. That was on the snow layer. We don't need snow for this. We're just trying to make the corner of a room. Which would technically allow this to go on. Although I would prefer to get rid of the luminosity if we're to do that. Hmm. No. That should be fine. There. Oh, Jesus, what did I do? Oh, okay. Shift and space apparently give you the rotation tool. That's a good shortcut to remember in the future. Uh, oh, there, there. Mm, Proportion-wise, that does not work anymore. Um, so how would we make this work? I guess by following our angles properly? Mm, no, that still looks bad anyways. Although, as a starting point, it's not awful. Let's just try it out and see. Oot. Oh, actually, that is that is a weird shortcut that I feel like I've never hit before. Good to know that the language settings are tied to Control Shift, and then you just let go of Shift, and that somehow brings that up again. Cool. Oh, here. What can we do with this, though? I'm not a backgrounds person, so I may just take the lazy way out here. Get rid of the shadow. Do. Do. Yeah, that's a good call. Good roundness. Not a good color for that, though. Except that doesn't really work either, now does it? Might just be the color, though. There. Howie is a friend of mine. 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 Hmm. Yeah, I'd say that's fine. It does at least give it a slight contrasting color. Oops. I'll eventually figure out backgrounds and such, but that's probably going to be a bit. Oops. There we go. I'd say that's relatively ready for Twitter. Pika-me twit. Oops. Pika-me twit. Cool. And then wait for that to actually publish because that's still a big file. Alright then. Well then, if we're gonna finish off with that, I can't see anything more that needs to be done to it. Aside from figuring out a background, but I think that's more so something I need to learn. We still have that little dull sketch base, don't we? They can try and figure out how we want to actually do me on this. If I remember where my character sheet is. Do. Thankfully, mine's not super difficult, but gotta make sure that certain things kind of stick out. Oops. Here. To fall apart, they are unstoppable. Unstoppable. Alright, let's see if we can just manually sketch out the doll's form in CSP, because I usually try and do this with just pen and paper first. And I feel like the best option to do, since the Pika-me one is at least form-wise the best one I've done, it would not hurt to make a base. Oh, right. And the canvas for the dolls is bigger than that. There we go. So let's see if I can just use that as a base. And then potentially just make a base from that. Oh, helpful you're drawing on the right layer, buddy. The unstoppable. Also, since we are about an hour and a half in, just a good reminder for folks to maybe grab a drink. Make sure you're staying hydrated is mostly what I'm asking, but just want to make sure that everybody is taking care of themselves where possible. Exactly. Just gotta drown yourself a little. What Earth exactly wants you to do, right? That's why it's raining constantly or some form of precipitation, just to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Do. And what are you actually up to tonight, Solace? I know that Mousie's anime night is probably either going or done, but you've been keeping it relatively quiet lately. And it'd be kinda nice to know what you're up to, aside from maybe letting your arm heal, since I know that's been a bit of a problem. It's done. Earlier I was watching that and distracting Ken from a commission again. God damn it. And now I'm fighting a beat day battle with Toto and Zay's channel. Damn. The war really never does end for you, does it? Do you actually have the applicable levels of, like, war funding to prevent yourself from, running out of concessions and mats that you actually need to keep up the fight? Because I know that can be a bit of a problem for some folks, at least. I mean, I have a cheat code. I just feed Kin more material. I more meant in terms of the war with Zay and Toto, more so. And I guess speaking of Toto, Toto was able to actually get me the character sheet for Aoi, so that is also another option for something we can work on. But I think I said since I was going to try and focus on me for now, we can probably just do me and then do Aoi after. Oops. But I guess at the very, very start, having a just pose available for the dolls will help out tremendously. Because I know I keep resketching them from time to time, but I should have something that's a bit more consistent for it. Here we go. And then the feet are usually a round thing. The other doll form is definitely good for sketching as well, technically, but this will just be better in general for the final posing. So I definitely don't mind. Here. Here. Sorry, little guy. Kind of in the way of the progress lining. Yep. There. And I usually just bring this up to around where the sole is on the shoe. Yeah, what's up, dude? Welcome in, Omega. Hopefully the evening's running all right on your side so far. Not too much is going on right now at the very least, but I'd say we're at least keeping comfy. What about you? How's the night been treating you so far? I bought and installed GB Versus and then went and played 2 hours of Soka 2 anyway. I kinda hate to say it, but that is probably what most people did to some extent. Grand Blue Fantasy is in a weird spot right now, just because it's one of the few fighting games I'm pretty sure that doesn't have rollback. And I don't know if they've actually announced if it ever is going to get it. But they've been slacking, for lack of a better term, so far. And a lot of people are kind of just waiting for it to actually pick up again instead of just being kind of left in the Wade side. The next update will, or the next announcement is going to announce it. I mean, I'm sure it will, definitely. It's not like people have been joking and memeing on them for months that they've needed to do that for a while now. I'm sure it'll be fine. Either that or my memory is failing me and they've already announced it because I've completely dropped GBF or GBFV. The original is $4 on Steam right now. They're basically giving it away. I mean, yeah, for $4, then it's kind of hard to toss it up then. There we go. Oh, they did announce it back a month or so? Alright, then yeah, I've just completely forgotten about it then. Somehow I'm not completely surprised that I've forgotten it already. Because I know I have like a singular friend group, which is... Oh. Also, we did finish off the Pikami doll, so ta-da! She is now shiny and mildly postable. But at least when it comes to GBF, I have one friend group that contemplates on actually playing it, but we don't really get to do so super often because other fighting games kept coming out, and then Grand Blue Fantasy fell into the backside, and then nobody really wanted to play it again. There we go. I'd been pretty much just making jokes about GB versus lately, but lately it's just been getting positive press, so I said, why not? Yeah, I'd say that's fair. It's not exactly the best thing to just kind of leave it sitting in the dust for too long, but we do kind of have to go off of the creators in terms of whether or not they'll actually get to finishing everything they need to finish. There we go. Maybe make this line make a bit more sense. Yeah, I think that's decent form factor, at least when it comes to how I want to draw these dolls. Doesn't seem right. Like, I watched part of the hype show that they put on with holograms of the characters and stuff, and I was like, what the hell is this? That's mostly just Grand Blue Fantasy in a nutshell. They've been around for a while now. Did I spill water on this? I think I did. Let's see here. Just gonna wipe all that up so that way I'm not spilling water on myself to actually drink water. At least when it comes down to Grand Blue Fantasy versus, or just Grand Blue Fantasy in general, it is the one that's been around for a super long period of time, but it's either feels dated to some or just loved by others, so it's always sitting in that weird spot where there are people still dedicated to the franchise, and like I've tried to get into it and I've wanted to get into it, but brain really does not want me to. But it's a good thing to at least keep an eye out for. And at least if anyone is curious about the Grand Blue Fantasy series, I could recommend it for $4 for the fighting game. That's not too shabby, all things considered. This be better like that? Realistically, should fall the same form as the foot, so here. Oh yeah, that means Jason is streaming now, isn't he? I was trying to think for a second if he was going, but no, he announced his around 7:30 or so. Good. I just kind of wish I had the attention span to actually keep other people's streams up while I was drawing. It is incredibly awkward to do so. And it's funny how the game's so cheap, but the DLC is still pretty bad. But I guess that is kind of the gacha mentality at play. Oh god, is that the truth? I'm sorry, gacha game players. You're always getting done dirty. And at least the two characters I consider playing the most aren't DLC. And who are the two that you would usually play, Omega? From what you've at least looked at. Save as Doll Pose Base. You think he'll give Zeta a try? Zeta's a pretty good one to go with, yeah. That's delete. Yeah, okay. And whoever the big guy whose name I always forget how to spell. I want to say Astaroth, but I think Astaroth is Soul Calibur. I'm assuming you mean like the gigantic guy in armor, who's usually just kind of stomping around the map with his potential command grabs and or throws. Yeah, the Astaroth looking dude. Okay. Yeah, that's understandable. I know a buddy of mine tends to stick to him as well, if only because of the fact that it matches his usual play style when it comes down to fighting game characters. But he is good as like the heavy go fuck yourself character that most people like kind of playing with anyhow. So it's not inherently a bad thing. Astaroth just felt comfortable in the old Soul Calibur games. Well, he is a big old lad who's just kind of there to make sure you're paying attention to your combos and you don't just get completely broken out by a super armor attack. Because God forbid you ever just get fucked by a super armor attack. I haven't really played in a while, but I think because of my personal biases towards dwarves in most fantasy games, I did kind of try screwing around with Charletta a good bit just to see, and I could play her decently well, but it has been at least a year since I've last touched it, so. Do. And then Vasarega, that's the name. It's gonna take me a week to remember that name. And Charlotta looks good. I have an emote of her somewhere. Probably, yeah. When it comes down to it, at least, Charlotta is at least, like, known within the Grand Blue Fantasy universe. That's just a stick. Oh, that's her crown, right. I'm remembering now. I'm definitely not a fake Grand Blue Fantasy fan. Yeah, her crown is obnoxiously tall, if only because she's got a weird short complex around all the other forms of royalty that just kind of exist within the universe. And something about how she wears a big hat to look taller, and I think that's how Frank explained it. Oh, yeah, definitely. She's just wearing like an obnoxiously long crown because she's like 2 to 3 feet tall. Most of the dwarves in Grand Blue Fantasy are around that range, so you kind of got to get used to the short kings that exist within the audience. And the short queens, obviously. There we go. That's a bit better. Dun, 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 dun. There aren't too many of the. I don't remember what the dwarven name is. It's something that starts with a B, but I know there aren't too many within the fighting game because I think there's only two Charlotta, and I think there's a guy in the DLC, but it's been a hot minute. Supposedly the story campaign in Versus is pretty good, so I'll accidentally figure out the different species. Yeah, I think accidentally is probably the best way of explaining it because they don't go over too much aside from maybe like basic levels of race diversification between them all. You do meet up with, I believe you start with Graham and the companion character who doesn't actually fight. And then you meet up with Katarina, so you've got two humans. I believe you meet up with Charlotta relatively quick. Been a hot minute though. Oh no, don't delete that layer. Do. I'm not gonna need too much in the way of headspace, so. And then they got some wild ass random ears characters. Random ears characters as the other Gacha franchises. What? What do you mean wild ass random ears characters? What do you mean by that, Omega? Because I know there are like 10% furries that exist within the Grand Blue Fantasy universe too, but I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to. Er, see if we can actually sketch out the power button relatively cleanly. I always screw this up anyhow. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I suppose partial furries, non-committal. I suppose non-committal is probably the best way of explaining it, yeah. I'm pretty sure that it does kind of break the or follow the trope of some of the male characters within the furry tribes are like 90% furry for no good reason. But I don't think it's many. They don't feature them a lot at least, so that's at least helpful. Have you enjoyed the random Arthurian references within Grand Blue Fantasy yet, Omega? Just because I know you have to deal with Lancelot decently early. Too big. Lancelot is admittedly a slight bitch to fight, but you can get used to the dual blade practice relatively simply. Just takes a bit. There we go. I figured there was some Arthurian in the game, given you have a Lancelot and a Percival. Yeah. They have some fun with the famous names, at least. And hopefully speaking, they have some more that are kind of just hidden in the back, but don't quite recall how many Arthurian legends there are. And we can't exactly count Arthur unless it's one of the royals, because Arthur, just as a name in general, is a little bit too obvious to always just be related to the king. Yeah. Sketch phase is definitely just a calm time. I can certainly put up with that. That's hardly the only franchise to do that. I mean, why would anyone ever try and reference back to, oops, good old King Arthur and his merry band of characters? Sure, no one would want to actually deal with the potential suffering that comes from that. And I kind of hate to say it, but one of these days I probably should try and at least read into the Fate franchise a little bit. I know it's a chaotic mess, and the OSU universe in general is just nonsense at times with how it ends up dealing with its power leveling, but it wouldn't hurt, you know? No. And go up a bit and then come back down? Nope, get rid of that. I have been told I need to get into it, but damn, how do you even start? Yeah, that's pretty much just Fate in a nutshell. I think the one obvious answer at the very least is do not try and get into it through Fate Go. Fate Go is its own universe, and that requires you to spend a ridiculous amount of money to even get that within your own game. So it's best to just kind of read that outside of the game so that way you don't have to deal with the nonsensical business practices that game actually has. I think this is going to be thicker. I think Melty Blood is about as close as I'm going to get. Probably, yeah. You can at least get a little bit of info on the King Arthurian saber. I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be based on King Arthur, at least. But yeah, you can get the Fate Extra saber out of the way. That's a good starting point, at least. And I don't really like the type of Lumina as much as I'd like to. Yeah, Saber is King Arthur. Yeah. Silly Saber. Getting confuzzled when a random human boy is just trying to make you a hot pot. Trying to make it into a rom-com between you and an extra-dimensional being. There we go. I don't think folks actually realize how long my hair is supposed to be most of the time. The previous gen fighting game was pretty better, at least for me. Do you mean like the original Melty Blood, or do you mean the previous fighter game for the Fate franchise? Because at least I don't actually remember what the original Melty Blood is called. I do technically have that installed, but I don't play it very much, so I haven't the faintest clue how that actually works. Actors again, current code. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Oof. I haven't really played enough of both of them to really make a call on my end, at least, but I can kind of understand the potential frustrations that would come from Type Lumina that were just fine within Act Again. The Fate fighting game was a deliberate joke, but it's fun to watch. The combo timing in Lumina is just fundamentally goofy. I mean, you generally don't want to hear goofy when you're thinking fighting game, but I've heard of some games at least having half a chance with that description. And I can't really get into any of the characters. Really? Type Lumina should at least have a wide enough cast so you should find one that you're okay with. Afraid to ask, but like, what characters out of there have you really tried into like a deeper level? Doing my collar is going to be awkward in doll form. Um, see, I tried every single character, including NecoArc, and I thought I could get into Power CL or Powered CL, if anyone, but the combos just kill me once they get airborne. Yeah. I think when it comes to when it comes to Type Lumina's combo system in general, I think only some characters are good in the air, but I don't remember off the top of my head what that limit is. So it's a little bit of a hard call for just figuring out whomst you actually want to get used to. But apologies, I can't really help you too much on Type Lumina. I'd like to, but I haven't played it enough to nearly be able to give a secondary opinion on it. That should probably do fine. Meant to be puffy. There we go. On the air, it's just like mash buttons, and then to start a combo, it's mash buttons, but at least the follow-up seems to make sense. I think that does kind of come in part to the system that Type Lumina added, which would probably fall in line with what you'd find in the BlazBlue games. Because if I don't remember if you've played the Central Fiction, I think has it, or at least which ones you've actually ended up playing. Omega, but if you remember the beginner system or what do they call it? I don't think it's necessarily called the beginner system, but it functionally is. Because all it requests you to do is to press a single button and then it'll form together the combos for you, but you can manually do the combos if you want. Now, I had high hopes that Mash was going to be decent, but her range blows. I mean, of course her range blows. She's a tiny girl with a shield bigger than her. What are you expecting in terms of range? Oh, is the first one a bad port? Oh, that's not good. Whoa, whoa, my life only getting better. Since the day I met her, she wears my sweater. In California weather, daily all the time. She could be all mine, my little wallflower. Apparently I can remember bits of this. But at least when it comes down to it with Central Fiction and the later BlazBlue games did add up ending a system where you are kind of working with a much more simplified form of combat, which I think is part of the reason I stopped playing BlazBlue, because one of the people I would play it with back in the day at least, would always use Noelle and this system, and her basic combos were just a bitch to get out of. So even though I never used the system, I just kept getting my ass handed to me by it and kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. And I was hoping MASH might have some sort of normals like Reish has had in Mbach, since some of their other moves are similar. And then Mew 13 had you stop playing BlazBlue. That's fair. I knew a few people who would use New 13, and since she's not exactly a noob trap character. Well, no, noob she is kind of a noob trap character, actually, thinking on it. But she's very hard to get out of the range for, so it becomes a bit of a problem when you are not really ready for it. So if someone's at least decent with New 13, or I think there's New 13 and there's a secondary one that has like a similar move set to her. And New 13 is the reason I want to play it. Alright, so not fighting Omega at the very least. But yeah, New 13 does have a good kit, but it's very much like a across the map playstyle. So you are focusing very hard on projectiles during most of it. So I'm sure like you can find solace in that, Omega, but just letting you know now, if someone gets in on close on you, you don't have too many options aside from just knocking them back and then getting back to pelting them with stuff. But aside from that, she kind of just became a noob trap character, if only because it was next to impossible for someone who didn't exactly know what they were doing yet to actually defend against her. There. Good thing this is the sketch layer. And it's fine. I just like looking at her. Well, she is a cute little robot, so I can't exactly fault you there, Omega. I think at least when I was working with BlazBlue stuff, I always kind of stuck to Taukaka a good bit. There we go. That can be the zipper, but we'll simplify it for a doll because this doesn't need to be super complicated. Ah, you played Taukaka too. Very nice. Welcome to the Kitty Club, Solace. Not that you ever really left it in the first place. Here. Guess this should be some kind of fur insulation thing. Button mash rabbit cat. Mostly a cat, but yeah. There was a pretty high skill ceiling on Tao, if only because of the fact that her kit was honestly limited. Now, as a character that drives people insane, I don't see a lot of people play her competitively, but I never hear anyone say they like fighting against her. I mean, no one says that they like fighting against her because she's just unnecessarily fast. So it's hard for anyone to actually go up against her without, like, just changing up their play style and trying to remember what the quickest normals they have are. Damn it. Don't pick transparency on me. Then that can just go around. Da -da 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 -da. Is this everything you wanted? Is this everything you thought that it could be? Is this on it? Now you got it. Ska is too fun to sing with. I don't actually remember looking up BlazBlue competitive, actually. I'm going to assume things like Hakumen and who else was kind of up there? I want to say that the new robots would be up there, maybe S, but BlazBlue might be one of the ones that may actually have a varied enough scene that it's actually nice to see the range of characters. Everything you wanted is the same. You do see a lot of S? Okay. Not a lot of Hakumen, really. But a good bit of Susanoo? Yeah. Admittedly, Susanoo is just kind of Hakumen, but on crack, so that's fine. And then mostly Hazama and Izanami players tend to go pretty far. So, yeah, all of the fairly higher tiered characters. Makes sense. A shame, but makes sense. And who's the ninja guy? The ninja guy would be Bang, if you mean the one with the giant nail on his back. Let's see, Big do crime, phone's dying. Yeah, no worries there, Jasper. Make sure your phone stays charged. What matters.
Goodbye.
But pleasure seeing you. Have a good evening. There was the other ninja guy with the drops. I always forget him. Ninja guy with the drops. Once in a while, a dedicated Bang player shows up, and it's always a delight. Well, Bang's kit is powerful, but it's definitely harder to use. But if you can get it going, then you get it going. That's kind of what matters. Although I don't remember the other ninja guy that you're talking about. Let's see here. There. I guess if you do find the name, though, Omega, feel free to share, just because it has been a hot minute for my end, at least. See if I can actually replicate this design. I sup, it's Hibiki. 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 Name doesn't ring a bell, oddly. I have technically played BlazBlue for a while, but I'm not sure why that name doesn't click. There we go. There's too many Hibikis in games. Yeah, that is a common name, unfortunately. Gotta remember that my jeans would be covering most of this, to be honest. This would technically have a small border. He shows up first in Chronofantasia. Might be better if I just double check it, because I might remember the picture. Also, Solace Arknight's Reminder. No. Blaze, Blue, Hibiki. Oh wow, he gets like no fucking treatment. I kind of remember him now. But I'm not sure if I would call him a ninja exactly. He's more of an academy trained kid who's just kind of there. Apparently he's good at cooking too, so that's not too bad. Definitely rare when Rachel actually approves of your cooking. Oh, actually, that brings up a question in my slightly backwards logic of actually hitting that point. But would Trinity be involved in the competitive scene at all? I forgot about Rachel. There's a Canadian player who makes her look really good. Rachel is fairly good. In terms of how she plays, it's kind of similar to Jacko to some extent. It is meant to be a summoner class, but it's not as like reliant on the summoning. So it's more so just she has more ranged options than like a classic melee fighter does, but she's a bit of a distance fighter. I guess the easiest way of saying it is just that she's a rounder, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone play Trinity. Really? Kind of figured Trinity would be one of the people would focus on, to be honest. Oh well. I guess that just goes to show the characters that I remember, at least, not getting as much love. Then again, it's a big cast. That is true, yeah. And at least when it does come down to it, then dude, the cast is going to have some problems actually like keeping up with everything. 'Cause let's see, who all do we have? We've got Ragna, we've got Jing, we've got Noelle, we've got Rachel, we've got Ling, Arakune, Taukaka, Jinbei, Hakumen, Susanoo, uh, Bang, Carl, Carl's father. There's like 3 or 4 people from the academy I'm missing. There's Iron Tager and the person who built Iron Tager. There's just a lot of fucking characters in that game. And like I'm only focusing on the ones you can play as. That's the sad part. There's just a gigantic cast. I don't even know Bullet existed until about a month ago. They've never dropped a single character in any game. Yeah, they just kind of keep adding to the cast, almost like a Smash Brothers in terms of no one ever leaves, but that's not always a good thing, guys. It's kind of hard to learn characters in your game when you keep adding them, or you keep adding stuff to it, because then that makes things like Taukaka's kit harder when they change it from game to game, or having to deal with Taukaka with characters who very much counter her. Note to self, don't hit the delete key. Um, shoot. There we go. Nope. There. Oh, yeah, they've also added like Rachel's butler as well. I swear they. Oh no, the only time they would have gotten rid of characters from BlazBlue is during Cross Tag Battle. Because that's the only game that has like enough franchises that having the entire BlazBlue cast would make it insane. There we go. I forgot about the butler too. The butler is forgettable if only because he was a DLC character in one of the games, and he doesn't get like a lot of whoops, a lot of features outside of said DLC. Because even during Rachel's story, he barely ever shows up. He's just kind of occasionally there to be like, oh yes, mistress, the plan is going along perfectly. You may soon be able to suck the blood out of that lovely young child that we've brought to the manor. Except he's also a werewolf, so he will absolutely murder you. But smile? Yeah, exactly. Just a magic werewolf man who's there to help out Rachel with her diabolical schemes of not being bored for existence. And I added a line to the new model between my eyes as well, right? Yeah, I did. Okay. Just so that way, conceptually, if you ever needed to fix my head, the faceplate's not as much of a pain in the ass to take off. Now, how do I want to do my eyes? Because I made them more complicated now. Hmm. I'll inform the repair technicians. Thank you, Omega. Oh, I never took a break, did I? Probably do that. Good. Save as. Jude doll. Oops. Jude doll. Alrighty. I'll just leave you with the tunage, and I'll be back in like 5 minutes or so. So grab a drink if you need to, and I will be back. Alrighty then. Hello. Hopefully everyone was able to take a bit of a break. Let's see here. What's bugging me about this? Good morning, Boo. Hopefully the evening's treating you alright so far. You don't have to worry about retail hell too much. We're just working on some doll stuffs. Just webtoon stuff. Don't gotta worry about that. Do. Um, A too small. And then same thing here. Now, how would I want to do this? Because so far we've kind of just kept everyone as monocolored eyes. But my irises are a little bit funky. So just doing a solid yellow is technically what I should be doing. Guess we probably should keep consistent, shouldn't we? Doot. This isn't exactly a character sheet anyways. This is just comfy doll friend who's going to be sitting on our shelf. There we go. That lines them up a bit better. Alright, let's see about these boots then. Because these boots were very much made for walking, but always a little bit odd conceptually. Because they're meant to be decently chunky anyways. Welcome in, Pink. Things have been going relatively alright so far. World's still turning. Job isn't absolutely destroying my mental state. Trying my best to get my best foot forward for the crew. But how are things on your side? The world treating you all right? We are just kind of working on the next doll, which is just going to be one of me because I've gotten at least a couple asks now about commissioning one of these, so I probably should have a example of me in it just to make sure that we actually have a reliable way of showing people, like, here, this is what I'm doing right now. There. General middle is here. There. There and here. Because yay boots. Ooh. Let's see here. And I guess Kin would be done now as well. A lot of the Tanuki crew does tend to go a bit earlier, but that's fine. I do try to not go during the middle of their stuff, if only because of the fact that I know that everyone's got their own time to worry about. And one more in here to connect the treads up to. And I guess I haven't exactly been talking about my off time lately. Since there is just a certain limit of how much I want to do in any given week, I do try and stick to only a couple games on my own time at least, which for the current moment would be House Flipper and Team Fortress 2 I've been trying to get back into a bit. It's just kind of nice to have a shooter on the background, if only because you kind of just want to get your skill level up where you can, but I know it's not always what everyone does, so that's just one I keep to myself. It's comfortable enough that I can just kind of get away with playing it on my own time anyhow. That, and I don't think I'm very proficient at it, so I don't think I'm ready to even attempt to stream that. Also seems way too close. And these treads are going to have to be bigger. But I just don't know. Just don't know how to get there. There we go. That's a bit better. You are going to get redone. There we go. That's a bit better. There. And actually, since we are kind of getting close to the end of March, I guess as an obvious warning, hopefully the weather isn't just completely flipping out on you yet. Because I know that it is starting to on my side. Starting to get weirdly warm. The snow is melting. The rain is coming, but the snow is still falling. It's a relatively chaotic time of year, if only because certain people don't know how to handle the weird janky weather, but as long as you're taking care of your vehicles and all of your plants, you should be fine. There we go. As I know, at least on my side so far, I think today at least we've had snow and rain and a ridiculous amount of wind. So it's definitely not going to be the best option. Almost looks like a horseshoe to some degree. That's fine. Horseshoes are a little bit better for kicking people in the face anyways. There we go. And then these wouldn't come too far here. There. Our little jean borders. Because denim needs to be rehooked up to each other. Eh. Come on, Rest. You can do this. Yeah, that's not too bad for the sketch. Oops. And probably get rid of our sketch layer too, just so we can see everything. Make sure it's actually lining up. There. can probably get one strand out of place here, if only because I doubt that Jude takes the best care of the fiber optics that are implanted into his head. They would just kind of dangle. There. Ridiculous length ponytail is fine. We're biased towards ponytails, so the more the merrier. Now, would we want to do anything funky with our hands? Because technically they're different. Although I don't show them on the sheet, do I? I don't. Rude. Mm. Now, how could I make this look like a tool instead of an accidental flashlight? I guess we can just get a hexagon in there to act as like a wrench. Okay. That should be fine. And we'll just make sure to discolor that when we get to it. And would I want to draw any accessory with this? I'd probably want to get the axe in here, wouldn't I? Here. Good. Mm. And just put small chips in it to make it look like the Animal Crossing axe. That should at least be a relatively good touch point to let it know that it's used. And that heap realistically needs to take better care of the thing. There we go. That should be fine. Jude and his whittle axe. That's not too bad. Oops. No, go back. Alrighty, well, we got about an hour left. We can probably start with lining this. And if anyone needs it, probably a good time to stand up and stretch. Want to make sure to take decent care of your back, because I know sitting around on the computer all day can be kind of bad for you in that respect. Yep. Nope. And I realistically could make this be... Oops. There we go. Could make it a little bit easier on myself with these. Oh, wrong way. In terms of the power buttons and just trying to use the circle tool on it. Nope. But I'm not sure how good of a decision that would be just yet. Probably be a lot easier, but there comes a point where you don't want to make things super easy, if only because of the fact that you want to eventually get better at this kind of skill level in terms of drawing your circles. Honesty, no. Hmm. Just gonna say this is on an angle, so that should be fine. There. Oops. Let's just fix that. Okay. Go up. I guess just to pose a question to the audience, if y'all are listening, what games have you been playing lately? Because I know that we kind of hit a bit of a drought when it comes down to March, but we'll eventually start getting actual game releases again. I believe Omega mentioned that they were working on Soku 2, which is normal and obviously needs the practice. But I can't imagine too many folks are necessarily playing fighting games in here. I know Omega and Frank do, but it's not a communal thing. Not yet, at least. No. No, it's cheating, Jude. Just learn to draw your lines normally. You don't need the line tool. Here. Er, oh, more webtoon stuff. I'll catch up on those after stream. Good. Not too far off from that, at least. So I'm glad we at least were able to get the Pikami doll done. And the ducking is not doing as much as I'm hoping. Right, I forgot to turn the music up. I think at that range it should be fine. Then you'll be able to hear me. Here. That should be fine. here. Hmm. Come on, eye. We're almost done. And just need you to focus for another hour or so. Go. Should at least get in all the lines we need for the hair. For the bangs, at least. Oops. There. That still admittedly just comes out too far. Mm. Yeah. Nope. Too high too quick. There we go. Good. Okay. And I think we'll get just a couple more pieces lined, and then we may end it just a little early. If only because my eyes are kind of starting to go out on me, so probably a good sign that I should probably stop. Oh, Oh, rounder. Rid of that. There we go. That will let us come out a bit slower. There we go. Whoops. All right. Well, everybody in my joint is telling me to calm down, so I think that's where we're probably going to leave it off for now. Eyes are kind of killing me anyways, so let's go find somebody to raid, shall we? Good. Not what I need. Twitch.tv. Sokko's going. Going to assume Kin raided into Sokko? Or Zay raided into Sokko? Not sure. Little too bit high blood for our current thing, but oh well. Raid 1, raid 2. Seems to be where everyone ran anyways. Do. Alrighty. Well, it's about the end of all English, but all I got. So hopefully you all have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for joining the cabin, and I'll talk with you later. But for now, bye-bye.